Gentlemen, listen closely. The way a high-value woman speaks to you can either lift you or leave you questioning your worth. It's not about words, it's about presence, energy, and subtle authority. Today, you'll discover how truly powerful women communicate and why most men don't even notice it. When a high-value woman speaks to a man, her confidence is the first thing he feels. Even before he hears a single word. It's not loud or aggressive, it's steady, calm, and unwavering. The kind of confidence that doesn't need validation from anyone else. She doesn't fish for compliments. She doesn't ask if she looks good, and she doesn't repeat herself hoping for reassurance. The words she chooses are intentional, measured, and deliberate, because she knows that her presence alone communicates her worth. You see, confidence isn't about proving something to others. It's about knowing yourself so deeply that no outside opinion can shake you. When a man encounters a woman like this, he instinctively recognizes it. He feels it in the energy she carries, in the way she holds herself, and in the subtle way she chooses to respond to him. There's no need for over-explanation, no need for desperation. Her strength is quiet but undeniable. And that quiet strength speaks louder than any flattery or pleading ever could. A high-value woman understands the power of her words. She knows that the same sentence delivered with certainty can command respect, stir curiosity, or plant desire. She doesn't clutter her speech with filler or apology because she doesn't need to convince anyone of her worth. Every word is purposeful, like a brushstroke in a painting. She chooses phrases that elevate the conversation, that invite a man into her world without lowering herself to fit his expectations. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It means self-awareness. It's knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when silence will convey more than speech ever could. And when she does speak, the tone, rhythm, and intention carry weight. Men may not always articulate it, but they feel it. They know she's someone who won't be swayed by empty gestures or hollow promises. One of the most common mistakes men make is thinking that confidence must be loud or flashy. They confuse attention-seeking with self-assurance. A high-value woman doesn't compete for attention. She simply holds it effortlessly. She understands that confidence draws people in naturally, like a magnet, without the need to chase. When she engages a man in conversation, she does so fully present, making eye contact, listening, and responding thoughtfully. Her confidence allows her to navigate any conversation without losing herself, without over-apologizing, without bending to the comfort of others at the expense of her own standards. And because of that, men instinctively respect her. They sense that she's not easily influenced, that she values herself, and that she won't settle for anything less than what she deserves. It's important to understand that this kind of confidence isn't built overnight. It's cultivated through experience, reflection, and a deep commitment to knowing one's own values. High-value women have faced challenges. They've encountered rejection, they've been underestimated, and they've been underestimated. And they've come out stronger, more self-assured, and more conscious of their own worth. This is why their words carry such power. They speak not from fear or insecurity, but from a grounded understanding of themselves. And when Amen encounters this, it changes the way he approaches her. He listens differently, he respects boundaries more naturally, and he begins to recognize that his attempts at manipulation, flattery, or control won't work here. Her confidence protects her energy, preserves her value, and ensures that only those who meet her standards will be drawn into a life meaningfully. Confidence also allows her to be authentic. She doesn't pretend to be someone she's not to please a man, and she doesn't mold her opinions or desires to match his. Her speech reflects her truth, her priorities, and her boundaries. There's a natural rhythm in her communication because it flows from her inner sense of self. A man quickly realizes that engaging with her isn't about convincing her of anything. It's about matching her energy, respecting her presence, and appreciating the depth she brings to every conversation. And when he does, it becomes clear she doesn't need him to elevate her. She is already complete, already valuable, and already commanding the space she occupies. A high-value woman's confidence isn't a performance, it's a state of being. It's felt in every glance, every gesture, every word. And the most powerful part of it, it draws the right kind of man effortlessly. Not the one who tries to dominate, deceive, or manipulate, but the one who recognizes, respects, and wants to rise alongside her. Confidence is magnetic, transformative, and ultimately unstoppable. Because when a woman speaks with confidence, a man doesn't just hear her, he feels her. A high-value woman speaks with clarity, and that clarity is something men feel immediately. She doesn't twist her words, she doesn't hedge her statements with maybe or I guess, and she doesn't over-explain herself in a way that waters down her message. When she talks, her thoughts are organized, intentional, and precise, and every word serves a purpose. This isn't about being rigid or cold. It's about showing respect for herself and for the person she's speaking to. Men are drawn to this because it signals strength, self-awareness, and a mind that's focused. They sense that when she speaks, she means what she says, and they instinctively know that her words are worth listening to. There's a subtle power in this. A man can feel it even if he can't always articulate why. It's the difference between someone who fills the air with noise and someone whose words carry meaning. Over-explaining is something many people fall into without realizing it. We justify, we clarify, we try to make others understand us because we fear rejection or misunderstanding. But a high-value woman doesn't operate from fear. She understands that her thoughts, opinions, and feelings are valid, and she doesn't need to dilute them for anyone's comfort. She trusts that those who matter will listen, and those who don't are not worth her energy. This allows her speech to remain sharp, direct, and elegant. It also sets a standard for men around her. When he hears her speak with such precision, he realizes that vague gestures, half-hearted promises, or careless words won't be enough to earn her attention. Her clarity demands respect, and it communicates that she will not settle for confusion, ambiguity, or manipulation. A man notices when a woman communicates this way because it challenges him to rise to her level. Her clarity is like a mirror. It reflects whether he's aligned with integrity, purpose, and thoughtfulness. It's not meant to intimidate, it's meant to elevate. She creates space for meaningful interaction, leaving no room for misinterpretation or wasted effort. And when a man experiences this, he instinctively recognizes the difference between talking to someone ordinary and engaging with someone exceptional. He feels that her time, attention, and energy are valuable. He begins to act itself in how she handles difficult conversations. A high-value woman doesn't dodge uncomfortable topics, and she doesn't rely on vague hints or emotional manipulation to get her point across. She addresses what needs to be addressed with a steady voice and composed demeanor. She articulates her feelings and her expectations without turning it into a battle of blame or defensiveness. This skill does something powerful. It disarms confusion, eliminates unnecessary conflict, and fosters understanding. Men respond to this because it signals maturity, self-possession, and emotional intelligence. They see a woman who can hold her ground, communicate effectively, and maintain her dignity under pressure. Another important aspect is that clarity doesn't mean being harsh or unkind. A high-value woman delivers her words with grace. Even when she's firm, she does so with tact and consideration. She knows that how she says something is just as important as what she says. Tone, pacing, and intention are carefully calibrated to ensure her message lands with authority, not aggression. Men recognize this subtle mastery. They understand that she is not speaking to control them, but to ensure that her space, values, and boundaries are respected. There's an elegance in this that draws admiration, curiosity, and trust. Clarity also amplifies attraction because it communicates that she is in control of herself and her life. She doesn't rely on men to define her narrative or validate her choices. Every statement reflects her inner strength and decisiveness. When she speaks, she is fully present, fully aware, and fully aligned with who she is. Men sense this alignment instinctively, and they are drawn to it. It's magnetic in a way that superficial charm or empty words can never be. Ultimately, the high-value woman's clarity is a form of self-respect and power. It shows that she honors her mind, her time, and her energy. And the most remarkable thing is that men respond to it naturally. They listen more attentively. They engage more meaningfully, and they realize that speaking with her requires presence, thought, and integrity. Her words are simple, precise, and effective, yet they leave a lasting impression that goes beyond the moment. Because when a woman speaks with clarity, a man doesn't just hear her, he understands her, and he can't forget her. A high-value woman understands that speaking is only part of the equation. Listening is where real power lives. When she engages with a man, she isn't just waiting for her turn to speak or planning the perfect response. She is fully present, absorbing not only the words he says, but the emotions, intentions, and energy behind them. She listens with intent, not simply to reply, but to truly understand. There's a difference, and men notice it immediately. Most people listen half-heartedly, distracted, or focused on themselves, but she listens as if every word carries meaning, and in a way, it does. This type of listening shows a man that he is being seen, acknowledged, and respected in a way he may never have experienced before. It creates a space where he feels safe to be authentic, not performative, not guarded. Listening with intent is a skill that requires patience and presence. A high-value woman doesn't interrupt or finish a man's sentences because she wants to control the tea conversation. She waits, she observes, and when she responds, her words are not random. They are measured, relevant, and thoughtful, reflecting that she has truly heard him. Men are instinctively drawn to this because it is rare. They may not articulate it, but they feel the difference between someone who listens to reply and someone who listens to understand. There is an invisible magnetism in the latter, an energy that makes men want to be better, to open up more, and to earn her attention. She communicates through listening just as much as through speaking, and the impact is profound. A man often underestimates, clears throat, the power of being heard. Many think that their words are meaningless unless they are followed by action, or that attention is only gained through spectacle or charm. But a high-value woman knows that validation begins with understanding. When she listens with genuine focus, she affirms a man's value without diminishing her own. She doesn't nod or smile mechanically. She absorbs, she reflects, and she responds in a way that validates the truth of what he is sharing while maintaining her own grounded perspective. This is transformative because it subtly teaches a man how to communicate at a higher level. He begins to mirror her attentiveness, to respect her presence, and to realize that she is not just a participant in conversation. She is a standard he must rise to meet. Another element of this intentional listening is that it reveals her emotional intelligence. She notices tone, body language. She can sense when a man is masking something, when he is insecure, or when he is hiding his intentions. And she doesn't exploit this knowledge to manipulate. She uses it to respond appropriately, to maintain boundaries, and to guide the interaction toward authenticity. Men feel this even if they cannot explain it. There is a depth in her presence that is simultaneously calming and commanding. They sense that she understands more than she says, that she is weighing every interaction carefully, and that she is fully aware of the dynamics at play. This awareness elevates her communication beyond ordinary conversation into something impactful, magnetic, and unforgettable. A high-value woman also uses listening to create connection, not dependency. She draws a man in by making him feel truly seen, but she doesn't become his emotional crutch. She listens to understand, not to fix or save him. This is crucial because it establishes a balance of energy. She is generous with her attention, yet protective of her own boundaries. Men intuitively recognize this balance, and it commands respect. When a woman listens this way, she elevates the quality of interaction, the depth of connection, and the standard of behavior expected from him. Even in silence, her listening speaks volumes. A thoughtful pause, a measured nod, a reflective question. These are all tools she uses to demonstrate attentiveness without needing to dominate the conversation. Men notice it immediately. They feel the patience, the presence, and the interest. This is the kind of communication that transforms ordinary interactions into meaningful ones. They remember it, they respect it, and it shapes the way they engage with her. Ultimately, listening with intent is a superpower that few truly master. A high-value woman demonstrates it effortlessly, and in doing so, she shifts the dynamics of conversation, attraction, and respect. A man doesn't just hear her, he feels her attention, her depth, and her value, and he cannot ignore it. Because when a woman listens with intent, a man doesn't just speak to her, he opens his world to her. A high-value woman communicates her boundaries without hesitation, and the most remarkable thing is that she does it with grace, not aggression. When she speaks to a man, there's an unspoken clarity about what is acceptable and what is not. She doesn't need to raise her voice, issue ultimatums, or make threats. Her energy alone communicates limits, and her words reinforce them in a way that leaves no confusion. Men sense this immediately, even if they cannot put it into words. They feel that crossing her boundaries is not just unacceptable, it's inconceivable. And because of this, she creates a space where respect is automatic, not forced. Boundaries are not just rules, they are an expression of self-respect. A high-value woman has learned that her time, energy, and emotions are valuable, and she will not allow them to be wasted or disrespected. She doesn't tolerate games, manipulation, or half-hearted effort. She makes it clear through tone, choice of words, and actions that she expects sincerity and integrity from those she engages with. Men notice this immediately because it signals strength and self-awareness. When a woman sets boundaries confidently, she establishes the terms of interaction without drama. She doesn't argue about her limits. She doesn't rationalize them endlessly. They simply exist, and they are non-negotiable. One of the most powerful aspects of her boundaries is how they influence a man's behavior. When she communicates her limits, a man instinctively recognizes that he cannot take shortcuts, that he cannot deceive, and that he must approach her with intention. Her boundaries are not barriers, and not barriers meant to push him away. They are guides that show him how to engage with her correctly. They teach him what is expected, what is appreciated, and what will be respected. A man who truly values her will rise to meet her standards, and a man who cannot will quickly reveal himself. She doesn't need to filter people with drama or manipulation. Her boundaries do it naturally. A high-value woman also understands the importance of consistency. She does not set boundaries only when convenient or when she feels challenged. Her limits are steady and predictable, which reinforces her credibility and authority. Men sense this stability, and it commands respect. They know that she is not someone to test or take lightly. Her boundaries create a sense of safety and clarity in interaction because there are no surprises or hidden rules. They know exactly how to engage, and in doing so, they gain her trust and attention. Setting boundaries is not about rejection, it is about protection and alignment. A high-value woman does not need to explain herself excessively, nor does she apologize for her limits. She knows that anyone who genuinely values her will respect them naturally. She communicates them in a way that is firm but courteous, direct but not harsh. There's an elegance in her approach that men find magnetic. They recognize that her boundaries are a reflection of her self-worth, her discernment, and her refusal to settle for anything less than what she deserves. Boundaries also allow her to navigate intimacy with intention. She doesn't rush, she doesn't compromise, and she doesn't give herself away to prove value. Her words and actions signal clearly where she stands and what she will accept, and this clarity protects her emotional and mental space. Men are drawn to this kind of woman not because she is unattainable, but because she is intentional, discerning, and self-possessed. They understand that earning her trust, attention, and energy requires sincerity, effort, and respect. Perhaps the most profound effect of a high-value woman's boundaries is how they shape the dynamic of the relationship. She communicates that she is not here to be used, manipulated, or controlled. She sets the standard, and it is a standard that elevates every inter-eye settle. A man cannot take liberties with her attention or affection. He cannot test her patience or exploit her kindness. She communicates value through restraint and expectation, and men respond because they feel the weight of it. Boundaries are not a punishment. They are declaration. They are the invisible architecture of her self-respect, the framework that defines how she engages with the world and the men she allows close. And when a woman communicates her boundaries this way, men don't just hear them, they feel them, and they instinctively adjust, knowing that respect is not optional, but mandatory. Because when a woman sets her boundaries firmly and gracefully, a man doesn't just notice, he understands the level at which he must rise. A high-value woman knows the power of subtle playfulness, and this is one of the most magnetic aspects of the way she communicates with men. It isn't loud, exaggerated, or attention-seeking. It is a quiet, confident charm that makes every interaction feel alive and intriguing. Playfulness is not about being frivolous or careless. It is a tool she wields with precision, a way to create connection while maintaining her standard and her value. A man immediately feels it when a woman speaks this way because her energy is light yet powerful, teasing yet intelligent. It sparks curiosity, draws attention, and leaves a lingering sense of intrigue that is hard to forget. This subtle playfulness is often expressed through her tone, timing, and choice of words. She may lightly tease a man, challenge him with a playful question, or respond with a smile that carries meaning beyond the surface. It is never about humiliation or putting someone down. It is about creating a dance of energy, an exchange that feels effortless yet charged with life. Men respond to this naturally because it makes interaction enjoyable while simultaneously signaling that she is in control. He senses that she is confident enough to be playful, confident enough to hold her ground, and confident enough to make the moment memorable without bending to his expectations. High-value women also understand the power of humor and wit in conversation. They can laugh at themselves without losing dignity, and they can use clever remarks to highlight intelligence without arrogance. This kind of playfulness adds depth to their presence. A man quickly recognizes that engaging with her is not just an exercise in charm or pursuit. It is a genuine experience of connection, mental stimulation, and energy exchange. Playfulness allows her to communicate boundaries indirectly as well. A teasing remark, a pointed joke, or a playful challenge can convey limits without needing confrontation. Men often absorb these cues intuitively, realizing that the woman's confidence is paired with sharp perception and high standards. There is also a rhythm to her interactions that makes subtle playfulness effective. She does not overdo it. She does not feel the need to entertain constantly or compete for attention. She uses it sparingly, like seasoning in a dish, enough to create flavor, but never so much that it overwhelms. This restraint heightens her presence because it signals discernment. A man senses that she is intentional with her energy and that he must earn the moments of her amusement and attention. It's this careful balance between lightness and seriousness that makes her magnetic. She is playful but never frivolous, inviting engagement without lowering her value and creating tension without drama. Playfulness also allows her to express interest without desperation. A woman who is high value does not need to chase or overcompensate for attention. Her playful comments, subtle smiles, or teasing glances signal attraction in a way that feels natural, not forced. Men notice this instinctively. They feel the energy, they respond, and they begin to recognize that connection with her requires attentiveness, respect, and presence. The playful interaction becomes a dance, a subtle back and forth where boundaries, attraction, and intellect coexist. Another key aspect of subtle playfulness is how it demonstrates emotional intelligence. A high-value woman reads the room, senses moods, and adjusts her energy snorts to create balance. She knows when to lighten tension with humor, when to spark curiosity with a witty remark, and when silence will carry more weight than words ever could. Men may not consciously register these moments, but they feel the difference. They respond to it because it creates an engaging dynamic that is simultaneously challenging and enjoyable, a combination that is hard to resist. Importantly, her subtle playfulness never undermines her authority or value. She maintains her standards even while being engaging and fun. Her energy commands attention without being aggressive. Her words spark intrigue without being manipulative, and her presence leaves a lasting impression without relying on theatrics. Men feel her power, respect it, and are drawn to it because they understand that it is paired with authenticity, strength, and emotional awareness. Ultimately, subtle playfulness is one of the ways a high-value woman communicates her intelligence, her standards, and her unique energy. It creates attraction without compromising her integrity. It builds connection without dependency. It makes interaction memorable without overexertion. And the most important part is that it is effortless. It flows naturally from her understanding of herself and her awareness of the man she is engaging with. Because when a woman speaks with subtle playfulness, a man doesn't just enjoy the moment, he becomes captivated by the way she makes him feel. A high-value woman knows that the most powerful part of her communication isn't always the words she speaks, it's the energy she carries. Every gesture, every glance, every pause conveys far more than language ever could. Men notice this instinctively. They feel it in the way she holds herself, the steadiness of her gaze, the calmness of her voice, and even the way she occupies space. Energy speaks on a level deeper than logic or conversation. It is the unspoken authority, the quiet magnetism that draws attention and commands respect without demand. A man may not consciously analyze it, but he reacts to it naturally, sensing that this woman is fully present, fully aware, and fully in control of herself. Her energy communicates her value more effectively than endless words could. She doesn't need to over-explain, justify, or convince a man of her worth because he feels it through her presence. Every confident step, every steady breath, every intentional pause reinforces that she is someone who knows herself and will not be diminished. Men are instinctively drawn to this because it signals strength, stability, and depth. It tells them that she is not easily swayed, that she has clarity of mind, and that her attention is a privilege, not an entitlement. Energy communicates authority, boundaries, and self-possession in a way words often cannot. And a high-value woman knows exactly how to harness it. The way she uses energy is deliberate and nuanced. She understands that even silence can carry immense weight. A pause in conversation can command attention, invite reflection, or subtly guide a man towards self-awareness. A single look can communicate curiosity, challenge, or intrigue without a single syllable being uttered. This mastery of presence makes her interactions unforgettable because men feel something beyond comprehension. They feel the depth of her consciousness, the intentionality behind her every move, and the quiet power that comes from being completely grounded in herself. Energy also enhances the impact of her words. A phrase spoken with calm certainty and aligned energy carries far more influence than pages of argument or persuasion. Men notice the harmony between her words and her presence. There is no dissonance, no need for overcompensation, no hint of insecurity. What she says resonates because it is matched by the consistency of her energy. This is magnetic because it conveys authenticity. She is not performing, she's not manipulating. She is simply herself, and that is compelling. High-value women also use energy to establish emotional boundaries. A man may attempt to provoke, pressure, or manipulate, but her calm, grounded energy communicates that she is not affected by theatrics or attempts at control. There is a subtle authority in her energy that discourages games and promotes respect. Men feel this immediately. They sense that she is unshakable, that her attention is intentional, and that her presence is not something to be taken lightly. Energy becomes a language of its own, signaling limits, standards, and expectations without the need for confrontation. Beyond authority and boundaries, her energy also communicates attraction and engagement. She doesn't need to overplay her charm or rely solely on playful words. Her energy creates a pull, a smile, a thoughtful nod, a sparkle in her eye, or a calm presence in conversation, all signal interest in subtle but powerful ways. Men respond because energy cannot be faked. It reveals authenticity, intention, and emotional intelligence. The woman who masters her energy does so in a way that is magnetic yet unattainable to those who cannot match her presence, drawing only those who are capable of rising to her level. Another critical aspect of energy is alignment with self-worth. A high-value woman's energy reflects the sum of her self-awareness, confidence, and clarity. It shows that she respects herself, values her time, and understands her priorities. When a man encounters this, he senses that she is not defined by his attention, approval, or validation. He recognizes that she is complete, that she carries her own fulfillment, and that interacting with her requires presence, honesty, and integrity. Energy communicates what words cannot. She is a force, a standard, and a measure of what it means to be fully self-possessed. Ultimately, energy is the invisible thread that connects every aspect of her communication. It amplifies her confidence, clarity, listening, boundaries, and playfulness. It is the unspoken message that sets the tone for every interaction, shapes attraction, and commands respect. A high-value woman's words may capture attention, but her energy keeps it. Men don't just hear her, they feel her, and that feeling leaves an impact that lingers long after the conversation ends. Because when a woman's energy speaks, a man doesn't just listen, he is drawn, compelled, and changed by the presence she carries.